Hi everyone! Today we're gonna talk about workplace and things people should be aware of when, for example, are looking for a job. Maybe you currently look for a new one, like me, or are just curious and want to know those things. Then let's see. What is a red flag from an employer that people might not immediately recognize as a red flag? The Quick Trigger commented, "When an employee quits or gets fired from the job, and the company doesn't hire anyone new to replace them. It can be hard to tell as a red flag at first, but the temporary workload they added to your own, over that was left over after the person's left, slowly becomes your new permanent workload, without any changes to your pay or benefits to compensate for the additional tasks. The further out it goes without the position being filled, the larger and more obvious the red flag becomes." Snootful commented, "This is such a good question. Here are some thoughts, and for context, I've started several companies, hired a lot of people, and consequently spent a lot of time thinking about how to develop positive cultures. The CEO, boss, whatever, drives a conspicuously expensive car. I can elaborate why this is a tell if anyone cares. If it's private, family company, do a Google search for company name defendant and company name plaintiff. If the company has been sued or is in the habit of suing others, that can be a red flag. Although sometimes there are legit reasons for either, but it's something worth paying attention to. If when you are asked to come in for an interview, you are not treated with total respect for your time. For example, if you find yourself waiting for extended periods for an interview because so-and-so is a really important meeting. Similarly, if you are not offered at least water and or coffee if you're in for several interviews. I once interviewed at a place for 7 straight hours with no break, nor food, not even a glass of water. Fortunately, I wasn't offered the job as it was at Michael Mickens' firm, before he went to prison. If the company brings alcohol into the office for end-of-week sessions on a regular basis. I know they can be fun, but it's a stupidously bad idea for all kinds of reasons, and if leadership hasn't figured that out, then I think twice before joining. If when you're visiting the company for the first time and you pass someone in the hallway, do they smile and acknowledge your presence with a nod or maybe hello? Or do they ignore you? It's a small thing but very telling about the workplace culture. Similarly, do people seem healthy and energized, or grey-faced and tired? Any bait-and-switch deviations from representations made during the recruiting process versus actual terms and conditions? If it's a job in manufacturing or distribution facility, is it messy or tidy? Messy, cluttered facilities are indicative of poor management, plus they can be dangerous. As others have noted, any BS about, "oh, people like to work late," or stuff like that, used as pressure to get you to put in extra hours. Last, pay attention to your gut feel. If something feels off, it probably is. Edit. Thanks for all the nice comments, and for those who disagree, well, I'm just sharing my perspective. I'm pasting in my answers to a couple of follow-up questions re cars and beer. Re cars. There are obviously exceptions, but in my experience, leaders who are focused on the external indicators of their personal success will orient their behavior and decisions towards their own benefit versus benefiting the entire company and or other employees. In more extreme cases, which unfortunately are not uncommon, these people tend towards the narcissistic personality type, which means they will then set their direct reports against each other rather than encouraging and fostering collaboration and display other behaviors that make for a miserable workplace. I know, kind of big leap from fancy car, but I've been at this for almost 40 years, and it's amazing how patterns tend to repeat. And for quality, I'm really talking about conspicuously expensive, not a nice Mercedes or whatever, but a Bentley, Ferrari, that sort of thing. Re-alcohol. So, as someone noted elsewhere, sometimes this can be good, useful, fun. In fact, They start that way when companies are small, and I used to do them regularly, but here's why I stopped doing them. In a group of 100, actually a lot less than that, or more, you're going to have some folks with alcohol management issues. So creating a company-sponsored regular event in which they have the choice of either not participating and thereby missing out on the networking, etc., or being in an environment where everyone is drinking. And for those who haven't yet figured out they have an alcohol problem, you're basically helping them pre-game for everything. I've seen people knock back 3 beers in 20 minutes and then realize they will be driving home. Is it my responsibility to ensure they don't drink too much? No. But is it a good idea for me to enable it? And finally, for those who think I'm a prude or whatever, if it's your company, you regularly provide alcohol at company events, everyone knows old Bill often hits it a bit hard before heading home, and Bill happens to kill someone on his drive. You are completely, unutterably fucked. Quite aside from the whole, gee, I'm partly responsible for what happened guilt thing, the family of the person killed will get a contingent litigator and they will come after you for literally everything you have. Easily $20 million or more per person. Whoa, that was a long comment. Thank you so much for that much information. Thanks. Zbysior commented. To me it was a, we will start you low and we'll give you a ton of money later. They never do. Never happens. Zikna commented. They try to sell you their services during your interview. It was really bad. Cool Guy Trav commented. Anything that the manager says in the interview that doesn't line up with the job description. Yeah, we posted it's a manager level position, but this is actually a coordinator role. Yeah, the description says travel is 25%, but it might be closer to 50%. It just depends. We did post it as a remote job, but we prefer people to be in the office X days a week. Yeah, we phrase it that way in the job description because corporate says we have to. All of those are red flags. Anything a company is vague about should be a red flag. Jet Set Yak commented. If the job description has a nondescriptably massive salary range, $25,000 to $100,000. Joey Jackhammer commented. When you don't get a review until you ask for a raise, then all of a sudden your work is being questioned and you're being berated. Abolish Gender commented. I know people rightfully like to hate on HR, but if a company brags about not having an HR department to deal with, expect them to be very disorganized at a minimum. Another user commented, I always ask the question, why is this role open? Is it a new role or am I replacing someone? Why did that person leave? This really helps you seeing the reaction, and if they look nervous, it's because the person who left did it because they were not happy. I also like asking how senior my team members are. If there's none there more than 2 years, I would also be concerned. Final question, as I work in sales, I always ask, what's the KPIs and how many are actually hitting their quarterly and annual target? This also reveals if they set their targets too high, and you can expect to enter a grim working culture where you're never good enough and can always do better. Last one, I like asking about how they are working to establish a team culture as well, since this will tell you a lot if people at work are friends or just there to do their job. I am Dean commented. The sink or swim technique. It was my first day as a cashier. I got a couple of hours of training, then I was by myself and we were dead. All of a sudden, this rush came in and I was asking for help. The manager goes, sink or swim, we busy back here, figure it out. Well, I did, but let me tell you, customers were not happy because I still didn't know how to properly enter in orders, especially modifications. Topothesia commented. Competitive pay. but they won't tell you what the pay actually is in the posting or even the interview. Flying Potato Man commented, "Everybody is very young in a very old company." Rock Kicker commented, "Asking if you're somebody who's willing to put in the time to make sure deadlines are met, work is done, or if you're the type of person who leaves when the workday is finished. This is generally corporate speak for we will be forcing you to work unpaid overtime. There's a misery wall when walking to work. When you pass a certain point in the building, the feeling changes significantly. If you know, you know." Yes, that will be all for today's video. I hope you found these advices helpful. I attached a link to this thread if you wanna read more comments. Thanks to everyone who rated their advices. If you are currently looking for a job, good luck, and I wish you have a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye. Take care.